Turns out I was wrong. The economy is not going to crash and banks aren't going to fail. We're actually going to have a soft landing in 2024. So I know I made all these videos fear mongering that the economy was screwed and banks were going to collapse, but we have data now. The inflation data just came out for January and it really clearly shows that everything is fine. See, overall inflation is only 3.1% now. It's way down. And then they break down all the different components of inflation so that you know why it's 3.1%. And they certainly have omitted certain parts. These are just certain highlights, like how juice and non-carbonated drinks are up 30%. Steak is up 10%. Baby food up 8.7%. Sugar up 7%. They say that food is only at 2.6% inflation. None of these are anywhere near 2.6%. Same with food away from home. I'm no mathematician, but... And then we scroll down. Motor vehicle insurance, 20%. Household repair, 20%. Admission to sporting events, 13%. Tax return preparation, 11%. None of these components are even below 4%. They're almost all above 5%. What the fuck? Yet somehow all of this adds up. Along with all of this, that averages out to 3.1%. Just so you know. I know. The biggest part of the CPI, because they weight it differently, so certain things are more important, like people pay a lot for housing. So housing is weighted really heavily when they calculate the consumer price index, which is funny, because in that same article, shelter inflation is up 6% in the last 12 months. And that is the most heavily weighted metric of the CPI. So they're cooking the books and inflation is still up at 3.1%. It's definitely way above that. But what I think is the best chart of all time, so you know all these news articles like the New York Times reporting on how the soft landing is just so cushy in America? Don't you feel like your life is really cushy right now? That was published just a week or two ago. Everyone's reporting about the soft landing right now and about how great the economy is going to be. But Bloomberg did a study where they actually added up the total number of news articles mentioning soft landings across all publications. And that is a reverse indicator for recessions and depressions. So right before the dot-com bubble, mentions of soft landings in news articles spiked. Right before 2008, mentions of soft landings in news articles spiked. And this is where we are at now with mentions of soft landings. So... yeah, economy's not doing too hot. And these bank failures I was keeping tabs on, yeah, New York Community Bank is still floundering. They have not recovered. The regional banks ETF, which is like an average of all the regional banks, it's also not doing too hot. China's property market is collapsing. The reverse overnight repo market is collapsing. There's so many things going on. Oh yeah, did we mention that the bailouts that they did last year for all the failing regional banks, those were 1-year bailouts. They all expire this March. So I am certainly no expert, and this is not financial advice, but if your money is in a regional bank, you might consider a credit union instead. And based on history, the biggest banks will probably come out of this just fine for very legitimate reasons. But if you bank with a giant bank, you might consider a credit union just because fuck those guys. Just saying.